Hi. This is a short rotation guide for Cartethyia with her premium team, including the usual suspects. Since I want to keep this short, I'm only going to talk about these few characters in this video. I'll try to explain what I'm doing along the way and share some tech I learned to speed things up further. Also, I will mention some minor tips for the characters themselves that might be helpful in some situations. Alright, so first you can go ahead and start with Rover's Liberation. It gives you 25 win strings, that's for your gauge at the bottom, which is only because of Cartethyia's inherent skill here. This sets you up perfectly as long as you land every attack. Then you press her E and do 2 more slashes mid-air into a plunge and basic attack. Instead of the basic hit, you can also hold and do a forward slash instead to cover more distance and increase your chances of landing that hit. This is basically followed by another E combo, but this time you're gonna do your enhanced skill instead of a basic attack as long as your gauge is full. With that, Rover is giving the whole team damage amplification, which comes from her 5-star weapon and should last for your whole rotation. Swap an intro in with Ciaconna immediately to gain a stack while Rover is doing the second hit of her skill on her own. Follow up by jumping and doing basic attacks until you land and gain another stack. Jump again and do the same, but this time as soon as you get your third stack, press her E to cancel out of the rest of her animations, instantly following up with her enhanced heavy attack and echo skill into her liberation. To skip a basic attack here, you can already hold your attack button while in her skill animation to make this faster. Make sure you fill up your concerto energy enough so you can intro in with Cartethyia ASAP after Ciaconna's liberation. Now Carth is getting her first sword from her intro skill and can go over to basic attacks to gain the second one on her 4th hit, followed by his skill into plunge to consume all swords and fully buff fleur-de-lis. Then you liberate and start bursting. First you can do 1 complete basic attack chain into E and 2 more mid-air attacks. Finish the second part of your skill and do more basics or a heavy attack until your conviction is full into her second liberation. This is the usual straightforward rotation for this team, but you can also do this instead. Alright, that was fast, so let's go through it slowly. Start with Liberation on Rover again, just like before, and press E to go up into the air. But then you swap to Ciaconna at the right time, do basic attacks to get a stack, and finally swap back to Rover to finish her combo while she is still in the air. Then do the same thing again, and you have your enhanced skill ready on Rover if you did it correctly, as well as all of Ciaconna's stacks. The only thing left to do is swapping to Ciaconna, and you can just press her E into heavy attack, echo skill and liberation, and you're already done. From here on out, everything is the same for Cartethyia, right? What we just did was swapping between Rover and Ciaconna at the right time to fill both the gauges simultaneously. Now this is honestly kinda hard to do and takes some time to get right, but it's really fun to do. What helped me with this is not look at the bars but the character animations instead for timings. Also, when Rover starts glowing in this blue light and fades away like this, you know that you have to swap back to her, otherwise this isn't gonna work. Let's talk about the characters themselves too, because you won't be able to follow a strict rotation every time, so I think this might come in handy if things don't go as planned. For Cartethyia, if you don't have enough concerto for some reason to intro in on her, or you are soloing, most would probably do heavy attack, then the basic chain into skill and plunge to prepare for fleur-de-lis. But you can make this slightly faster by starting with a basic combo, then E, heavy attack and plunge instead to skip 1 basic attack she usually does before her heavy attack. Ciaconna builds her stacks the fastest when doing her basic attack chain mid-air. Her skill doesn't do much damage at all, so you can think of it as more of a tool to smooth things out, skip long animations and get to another sylph if used correctly. Rover does her enhanced E instead of a normal attack after the plunge if your gauge is full and you press basic attack. Also, her liberation can be used to get back on the ground instead of a plunging attack. You may want to do this in some cases to get your enhanced skill faster, which only works on the ground. If you're using Shorekeeper instead of Rover, you can follow the same basic rotation with Shorekeeper's liberation first and it works perfectly fine. What's more interesting is that you can gain extra stacks for Shorekeeper's gauge by taking advantage of a basic attack free, because it gives you 2 stacks instead of 1. So if you are on 2 stacks because you got interrupted or something, you can do her basic 1, 2, 3 and hold attack while the animation is running to get 1 additional stack. So it's 1, 2, 3 heavy attack. Same thing applies when you are at 3 stacks to get 2 more stacks even. It's just a bit harder to do timing wise, but you are doing exactly the same thing as before. What helps me with this is that you want to start holding when she lifts her arm at the half point, I'd say. I don't think it's that difficult to do once you understand the timing and can be used often in regular gameplay. Lastly, you don't need Ciaconna to get everything out of Cartethyia's kit because she can't fully support herself, but you have to do some stack management in that case, except if you have her as free. Then you can just ignore everything I'm about to say and Unga Bunga rotation. Cartethyia applies erosion stacks and Fleur-de-Lis consumes them, but you want to be at 6 stacks before using her second liberation for maximum damage. So what do you do in that case? Let's go through it. Using Cartethyia's intro skill gives you 2 stacks. Her last basic attack gives 1 and her skill provides you with 2 more, meaning her full kit puts you at 5 stacks total. Fleur-de-Lis consumes 1 stack each with her basic attack 5, her mid-air attack 2 and the second part of her skill. So you can build Fleur-de-Lis Conviction or Gauge and avoid all of her enhanced attacks I just mentioned to stay at 5 stacks. Go back to Cartethyia, do a basic combo to reach 6 erosion stacks, swap back and use Liberation then. Fleur-de-Lis's heavy attack doesn't consume any stacks, so you can use that more to build up her Gauge too. Now, you can also use 2 of Fleur-de-Lis's attacks that consume erosion. Swap back to Cartethyia and do her basic chain and then her skill when it becomes ready again to get 3 stacks back to reach the erosion cap again. That's how you can build and retain your stack count without Ciaconna.
Phoebe? Phoebe Choppy?
Anyway, this is all for this video. It's not the most in-depth guide or anything, but if you're just looking for rotation, then I hope this helped. But yeah, that's all for now. Thanks for watching and bye.